Good afternoon and thank you for joining us today. My name is Holly Taylor and I'm the Client Success Team Leader here at LEAP, and I'm joined today by Crystal Mihailovic. Crystal's the Senior Client Relationship Manager at InfoTrack. So today's webinar will run for approximately 60 minutes, and with all our webinars will be conducted in listen-only mode. Throughout the webinar, feel free to type in any questions that you have in the box to the right of your screen. We may not have time to respond to all of the questions, but what we will do at the end, we do have designated some Q&A time, so we will answer some questions that have come in. Also, a recording of this webinar will be made available to LEAP clients via the LEAP community in the next week. So let's look at the agenda and what we're going to have a look at today. So a brief overview of what we're going to be covering today. Firstly, we're going to be looking at the Victorian eConveyancing timeline, and Crystal's going to talk us through these important dates. Crystal will then give us an overview of how you can verify your client's identity using the LEAP mobile app and the integration with Identify. We'll then be looking at compiling a Section 32 and electronic contract and how you can have these documents signed electronically. We'll then be looking at creating your PEXA workspace. And finally, as I mentioned, we will answer any questions that have come in throughout the webinar. I'm going to now hand over to Crystal. So thanks, Crystal.
Great, thank you, Holly. Welcome everyone to the webinar. First thing I'm going to touch on is the Vic Digital Transition Timeline. Now, some of you may have attended one of the many PEXA roadshows that have been happening across New South Wales and Victoria over the last few months. They've been very informative roadshows with Land Victoria, State Revenue Office, also playing a key part in the presentations. So one of the main parts of the presentation was the timeline of the Vic digital transition and everything becoming digital, and what are the key dates that the legal and conveyancing industry need to know about, need to be aware about, and need to be prepared for. So just have a look at some of those key dates, which will tie in very nicely into eConveyancing and how LEAP are providing a solution for you to be able to comply with the requirements coming up. First of all, 26th of May 2017, so just a couple of weeks ago, was introduced the National Mortgage Client Authorisations and the certifications. This grace period will run and expire as of the 1st of January 2018. So the client authorisations form is available in LEAP now, correct, Holly?
It is, yes.
Brilliant, and ready for you guys to use, but you'll be representing your client in any sort of property transfer and executing the transfer on their behalf. Whether that be paper or electronic, you are able to execute on behalf of your client with the relevant client authorisations and certifications. So that's available now. Moving on to July this year, so coming up soon is going to be the second round of the bulk conversion of paper titles. So October last year was the big four, so the remaining banks, or many of the other bigger banks, are doing another major conversion in July. So you'll see many more millions of titles being converted to electronic. 1st of August 2017 will be the commercial mortgages and refinance transactions are to be lodged electronically with a mortgagee is an ADI. Okay, so that shouldn't affect too many on the call at this stage. That's for more the financial institutions. With the 1st of December 2017, this is a big one for everyone on the webinar today, where caveats and withdrawals of caveats must be lodged electronically. So Land Victoria did announce at the PEXA roadshow that any caveats or withdrawals attempted to be lodged by paper post the 1st of December will be refused. So they need to be lodged electronically, but that's okay. As long as you're registered with PEXA, I'm going to show you how you can very easily lodge your caveats electronically straight from LEAP through your PEXA integration. Also in December, lawyers and conveyancers representing non-ADIs, so panel solicitors, are to lodge discharge of mortgages and their refinance transactions all through PEXA. So a pretty big year coming up. Moving into 2018, So on the 1st of January 2018, as I touched on at the start, this will be the closing of the transition period for the national mortgage documents, the client authorisations and certifications. So what this means is all firms in Victoria will be executing the transfer on behalf of your client, whether that be paper or electronic, as of 2018. The 1st of March 2018 will see all standalone transfers being lodged electronically through PEXA. Okay, so anytime you're representing a party without any incoming or outgoing mortgagor, that transfer will need to be lodged through PEXA and won't be accepted over the counter at the Land Titles Office. So the big major date that's coming up for the digital transition would be the 1st of October 2018. On this date, we'll have all combinations of documents being lodged electronically. So for example, if you had a withdrawal of caveat, a discharge, a transfer and a mortgage, or any combination of those four, that transaction will have to go through PEXA electronically and will be refused at the Land Titles Office with any paper documents. Another big year next year. So moving on to 2019, I'm sure it'll come around a lot quicker than we think. The Land Victoria have announced that all transactions, property transactions in Victoria, will be going and processed through PEXA. So what that means is that they'll be bringing in the survivorships applications and transmission applications at the moment, which still have a to be advised date. So as of August 2019, all those other complicated type complex documents will have facilitation through PEXA as well. So there's just a bit of a look through the timeline and what's coming with the digital transition. So now let's take a look at eConveyancing and how these solutions are provided to you through your LEAP platform. So the technology exists today and allows for end-to-end electronic conveyancing, starting from your LEAP matter all the way through to your PEXA workspace and electronic settlement. The platform allows flexible options, making it your choice which steps you want to conduct electronically. So that's really an important point to make. So you do have an electronic solution from start to finish, but any time that you want to go paper, up until those mandating dates, you have that option. Okay, so just remembering as I go through the demonstration that it is flexible. Also, you've got ongoing support from LEAP, InfoTrack and PEXA while you transition to the mandating dates. So let's take a closer look at eConveyancing through LEAP. So starting from LEAP, flowing through to your verification of identity, you have access through the LEAP app, which I'm going to take you through a demonstration of that now. Following on to preparing your smart Section 32 and contract for sale, how to have those documents signed electronically, and finally, finishing with your PEXA workspace, straight from LEAP, all the way through to PEXA, populating your data and allowing only one single sign-on from LEAP. Okay, so step one is verification of identity. And with the mandating dates coming through, the verification of identity is going to be more critical than ever. Obviously, it has been in place since October 2015, but with transacting in PEXA, the need to know who you're dealing with and have a record of who you're dealing with is more important than ever. So verification of identity is available now through the LEAP app. So it's very easy to use. I'm just going to run you through a few screenshots that show you how you can verify your clients from within LEAP. So on the right-hand side, you can see that we're in the LEAP app and we've opened up a matter in LEAP and we've got our client Daniel Martin that we need to verify. So it's very easy. Select your matter. From there, within your matter, you'll have your contacts that are relevant to that matter. So we click on the client who we're verifying. In this case, it's Daniel Martin. And from there, it will open up Daniel's contact card within the LEAP app. And now down the bottom of Daniel's details, you'll see the Verify Identity with Identify button. So by clicking that button, you'll be launched into InfoTrack's Identify application with all the information from LEAP pre-populating into that app for you. From there, you would go through and complete your verification of identity. capturing the ID information of your client, as well as a declaration that would sign on the screen. And that information is stored securely via InfoTrack for 9 years, and the record of that verification report is returned back to your LEAP matter, along with any related disbursements. Okay, so that's verification of identity. We're now going to jump into having a look at starting from LEAP matter, creating our Section 32 and contract, and ultimately getting to our PEXA workspace. So here we are in our LEAP file. The vendor is Mr. John Ortolin, and as you can see here, the verification of identity report has saved into the Documents tab there within LEAP. So I'm going to go ahead and start preparing the Section 32 and contract for this sale property. So clicking Searching and Services from within LEAP will be launched into InfoTrack as usual. So I'm going to go into Property Certificates. Now, our volume and folio is being pre-populated from LEAP. Look up the property. That's the one we're looking for. And next, and order. So from here, it's going to take us through to our list of certificates relevant to that particular council. Look, this screen is one that most of you are probably quite familiar with for ordering all your certificates and searches for Section 32s at the moment. So I'm going to use our pre-select certificates at the top here. I've got a sale file for a house, so I can just tick that, and some documents have been pre-selected. If you would like to know how to set that up, just pop a question in the questions box on the right-hand side. I'm happy to take anyone through that after this webinar. So for the sake of the webinar, I'm only going to order a title search, copy of plan, and as you scroll through, some of you may or may not have noticed that you've now got the ability to order a Section 32 on its own, or a Section 32 with a contract of sale. Also take note that both of these documents are free. The reason that InfoTrack provide these documents is that they will allow you to access electronic signing through DocuSign on these documents for eConveyancing. I'm going to order the Section 32 and contract of sale, and what I usually would do from there is order the relevant certificates, land information, water authority, planning, etc. So going on to the next screen, confirming those details, I'm then going to be taken through to the results screen to begin compiling my Section 32 and contract for sale. Okay, fantastic. While we're waiting for the certificates and searches to be returned, over here in the left-hand side, I'm going to start completing my Section 32. So there's a few different options and buttons up the top here that link back into LEAP. So first of all, I'm going to edit my Section 32. So when I click Edit, it goes into edit mode. I'm able to make any changes to any wording within the vendor's name, but that's already been pre-populated straight from my LEAP matter. If there's any nature of authority relevant for the vendor here, we can add that as well. So just scrolling through the Section 32, each section has radio buttons to be completed however you need to complete that Section 32. It's important to note that whatever you select on this Section 32, for example, in Section 2 insurance, if you tick not applicable here, B and C will delete from the final version of the document and will only display the text not applicable for Section 2. So scrolling through the document, it's all pretty standard, just a matter of completing each section as you need. But as I scroll down to Section 13, what you'll see is InfoTrack pre-populate the documents based on what you've ordered with your certificates here. So we just do some of that work for you with adding in any details for attachments, but that is editable. So if there's some information you don't want, or you want to type it differently, or you don't use that section, you're able to delete. But just to note that there will be some pre-population happening there. Now that I've completed the Section 32, I select Save. Now what I also want to do is bring in some documents from LEAP. Maybe there are a rates notice from the client that they've sent me direct, or something else that I want to, a lease or something that I want to import into my Section 32 that I haven't ordered through InfoTrack. For our LEAP Cloud clients, you'll have a paperclip button up the top here. So when you click on that, what it will actually show is the documents that you've got saved on your Leap Matter. Okay, so I'm on a test account, so we can't see those at the moment, but anyone else on the line will see anything in that Leap file can easily be clicked and brought into this platform. So I'm just going to grab some local documents. You can also import locally. So from your Leap drive or locally, you've got that option. So now that I've imported those documents, we can see that they've listed themselves over here under the Section 32, ready to be compiled. The last thing I want to add into my Section 32, of course, is the due diligence checklist. So we click the button up the top here to add a due diligence checklist, and that will refresh, and the checklist has now put itself into the list of documents within the Section 32. Now, depending on how you like to order your documents within the Section 32, it's very easy to move these documents around. So just by picking up the bar on the left-hand side here and clicking, I can drag and drop the title search to the top, the due diligence checklist to the bottom, and whatever else I want to do. So very easy to shuffle the documents into the order that you like. Okay, so we've completed the Section 32. All of our certificates have been returned. Now we're going to take a look at our contract. So having a look at the contract, again, we've got the same options up the top, but we do have an additional option for special conditions as well. So by clicking Edit, I can come through and have a look at the contract, but it's already been pre-populated from all of my data in Leap. Okay, so everything's mapping across, saving you having to rekey any information. And at this point, I don't know who the purchaser is, so I don't have any information for that section yet, because we haven't yet even had the Section 32 signed. Okay, so I'm happy with how that is at the moment, and I'm going to save the contract. So at this stage, I come to a fork in the road where I've got two options. Depending on the client you're dealing with, you might want to have this document printed and signed by pen for them at home to scan, to post, whatever it may be. Or you might want to use DocuSign to have these documents signed electronically, where that client can sign the Section 32 from wherever they are in the world, as long as they've got the internet and an email address. So first thing I'm going to show you is compiling for paper purposes, just so you know that you've got that manual option. You don't have to go electronic, but I'm just showing you both options depending on how you operate and the client that you're dealing with. So by clicking the top box up here, I've selected all documents, the contract, the Section 32, and everything else in between. If I hit the Save button now, what that's going to do is merge all the documents and create a single PDF, merged contract, general conditions, Section 32, and supporting documents. Okay, so from there you can email, print, whatever you need to do for your file, but there's one PDF. Given this presentation is about eConveyancing, I am going to show you option 2, to have this Section 32 now signed electronically. So you'll see at the top right hand side we have an orange button called Sign It, to electronically sign this document. So I'm going to click the Sign It button, which is going to take us into our electronic signing dashboard. It's nothing too fancy. All it needs is an email address to where the request to sign this document needs to go. So I'm going to enter in the email address that I've got ready available on the screen already. Now, what most of our clients are doing who are using the Section 32 for signing is sending this email firstly to yourself, and that way you can forward it on to your client with a personal message or your own branding, and as well as having a record of that sent item of request to sign. So John Orderlin's our vendor. Before I send that off, I can have a look at the document and make sure I'm happy. The Section 32 all looks good. And I'm going to request signatures. So you'll notice that there is a fee involved with signing electronically, so that's our fee through DocuSign, so it's $12.95 per document. That doesn't matter how many vendors you've got on that Section 32. If there were 10 vendors, it's still going to be $12.95. Okay, so we've now sent off the email to John requesting him to sign. So I'm just going to jump into my inbox. So your client, John, has probably already discussed with you about signing electronically. He's going to be expecting an email. And the recommendation is you requested John opens up the email on his touchscreen device, whether that's his smartphone, the tablet. There is no limitation. As long as he's got a touchscreen, he'll be able to open up this document to sign on the screen. If he doesn't have a touchscreen, he can open it up on a laptop or computer, but it's recommended it's a touchscreen so he can actually write his own signature. So John opens the email and sees this review document button. So we click on review document, which is going to launch us into DocuSign, where John can review the section 32. First thing is to agree to use electronic records and signatures, and John can read about that. There's the disclosure there. Then we continue and we're taken to the section 32. So John's able to scroll through, have a look through the document that's been prepared, check the certificates. Once he's happy and ready to sign, pretty straightforward to click Start. Takes him to where he needs to sign. DocuSign populate the date automatically based on the date that John is executing the document. And then clicks on the sign button. It looks quite similar to some of the sticky notes that some of you might have on your paper documents now. And from there, John signs the section 32 and adopts the signature. The signature then affixes itself onto the section 32 and John's job is done. Finish. Section 32 signed, he can go back to having cocktails on the beach in Bali if that's what he's doing, or looking after his kids, or for whatever it may be. That's all John needs to do. Open his phone, a couple of minutes and sign. And then what will happen is you'll receive an email letting you know that John has signed. Okay. It was taking a while to load. Okay, so now that we've had the section 32 signed, we're ready for the next step. So depending on how you operate in your practice, you may complete the contract yourself and know who the purchaser is, but 90% of the clients that I'm dealing with on a day-to-day basis have a real estate agent that then completes and finalises the contract from here. So you've got the option to edit and complete the contract yourself, or from here, agent set up contract. It's also important to note, before I do continue, that at any stage we can again print what we've got. With the section 32 signed electronically, we're able to go and print and complete the contract and section 32 in paper if that's the next stage that we want to go down. So you can pull the pin at any time or you can go forward with electronic signing. Again, it's up to you and whatever your client needs are and whatever your practice is doing. But I'm just going to show you both options. So we're now going to send an email request to the real estate agent for them to set up the contract. So we hit the agent set up contract. Now the email address that that request is going to is the email address that was in the contract, the email address linked to the real estate agent as per your LEAP matter from where you started. Okay, so now we've sent the request to set up the contract to the real estate agent. I'm going to jump back into the email and put my real estate agent hat on. Okay, so we're now the real estate agent. Okay, so they've had the section 32 already signed. They've found a purchaser. And what we've been doing quite a lot of lately is auction signing on one device. And the reason why that has been popular is it's only one contract version, as opposed to 5 separate paper documents that need to be completed and signed by the real estate agent at the time of auction. So when it's done electronically, there's one single source and only one set of data that needs to be completed. So the real estate agent may be on their iPad, Surface Pro, touchscreen laptop, whatever they may have at auction, and the hammer's gone down and property's been sold and we've found a purchaser. So now the real estate agent's ready to finalise and set up the contract for sale. So you'll be pleased to see that the real estate agent only has limited access to your contract, only particular fields that they are able to edit and complete. Starting with purchaser. So congratulations, Holly Taylor. You're the new owner of 1000 Heatherton Road. And the real estate agent then completes all the relevant information for the purchaser. If there's more than one, very easy to add and remove. Purchaser's legal practitioner information may or may not be known at that time of auction. So I'm going to scroll through. We've then got the price, the amount of deposit owed, deposit paid dates, and how much of that deposit has been paid. Let's hope it's all of it plus the time. The balance has been automatically calculated. Real estate agent then comes through and selects the day of settlement. They do select that day of settlement off a calendar, so it's very easy for them to see that where there's a weekday, just to make sure that they don't select a weekend for that settlement date. Scrolling through, if there's any loan information, the real estate agent can add that in at the time. They then save. From here, the real estate agent has a couple of options. It's either an option signing, but all parties are present to sign the one electronic contract, or alternatively, like an auction we did on the weekend, the purchaser or vendor may actually be overseas, where we need to send them an email request to sign, similar to what we did with the Section 32. Today, I'm going to show you auction signing. So by clicking auction signing, first thing is that they need to verify that the spelling is correct, because what's going to happen from here is all of this detail is going to lock itself into the contract that you have prepared. The real estate agent's happy with the spelling. I'll click confirm, and we're back into DocuSign. So we're now Holly Taylor in DocuSign, ready to sign the contract. From there, what would happen is Holly, the purchaser, would be taken to the Section 32 to sign electronically on the screen, similar to what you saw with the Section 32, and then taken to the contract to sign. After they've signed, the screen refreshes for John Orderland, the vendor, to sign as well. So, not too sure what's happening. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to see the signing screen there, but that's okay. We'll close down from there. Okay, so once the signing is all complete, what you'll be able to do from there is come in and create your PEXA workspace. Come back into our LEAP file and show you how we can then launch PEXA. Okay, so in our home screen, you'll see on the far right hand side we have a PEXA tab. So I go into the PEXA tab. We've got quite a few options here. Number one is creating a workspace. So that's if you're initiating the PEXA invitations yourself. If you're receiving invitations and you want to create a workspace from there, you've got the invitations option. So I'm going to create a workspace from within InfoTrack. So from here you'll see that the parties from LEAP will be brought across into InfoTrack and automatically added as subscribers in your PEXA transaction. So just showing some of that integration straight from your LEAP file, pulling through InfoTrack, ready for that invitation to be sent. If not all parties have been pulled across, you can search for subscriber. Of course, you want to know whether that other party is actually participating in PEXA before sending them an invitation. So using the subscriber search, it's connected directly into PEXA. St George Bank, you'll add them in to the invitation list and mark their role. So from here, you can add an invitation message, which may be a loan ID or something for the bank so they know which file you're referring to, and any other messages you want to add to the other parties. From there, we'll scroll down to the PEXA workspace information. The title reference details will be automatically pulled across, the state, and we've got our settlement date as well, end of June, and then selecting the time of settlement. If you don't know all the details of the time at this point in time while you're in InfoTrack, that's okay. You can create the workspace and update the time later on straight in PEXA. Okay, so now that we've got all of our information, everyone that we're inviting, we're ready to now create the PEXA workspace. So by clicking that button, we can see that it's conducting a live verification of all the data. It started in LEAP through to InfoTrack, and we're now in our PEXA workspace with all of the information pre-populated for you, saving you having to log in into PEXA separately and having to rekey data. All that logging in is done automatically, as well as all the data being populated. So that's the end of the live demonstration. So just a bit about the electronic Section 32 and contract. So LEAP's integration does allow you to electronically sign the Section 32 and contracts through our InfoTrack's secure DocuSign portal. So it's also important to note that DocuSign does capture a lot of security around where that signature is being affixed. the exact date and time that signature's been affixed, the email address where the link to open the document's been opened, the IP address of the device, and also the geolocation. So electronic signing has much more security and evidence backing behind it than a pen to paper, and that whole digital certificate and information about the signing is provided to you once all documents are complete. So you have a record for your file. All the documents signed electronically are automatically saved back into your matter, along with any related disbursements. A contract signed electronically is accepted by the State Revenue Office for electronic stamping. And also the Electronic Transaction Act does say that an electronically signed document is as legally as effective as a paper-based one, as I've touched on. So having a look at some of the key points around the LEAP to PEXA integration. LEAP PEXA integration is the most seamless integration into PEXA available. It is live, populating the information directly from LEAP straight across into PEXA before our eyes, as we saw before. It maps the vendor and purchaser data direct from your LEAP matter, and it automatically invites the participants to your workspace. It also automatically saves the documents created in your workspace directly back into your LEAP matter, and allows the acceptance of the invitations, linking joined workspaces to your LEAP matter. Okay, so now we've had a look at end-to-end e-conveyancing, starting from the verification of identity through to our LEAP matter, preparation of documents of the Section 32 and contract, signing electronically if we want to, but also the ability to print and compile at that point, and creating PEXA workspaces, inviting other parties and accepting invitations. That's end-to-end e-conveyancing, and obviously it is very real and happening right now with the mandating dates that we touched on at the start. So not sure where you're at with your PEXA journey, but here's just a few key points for your next steps. If you're not registered for PEXA, you can get registered at www.pexa.com.au/register. So get signed up. During that registration process, you must nominate InfoTrack as your PEXA sponsor in order to have access to the integration that you've just seen me take you through. If you're already registered and InfoTrack is not your PEXA sponsor, very easy to request that through PEXA. They'll make that change for you. There's no costs or anything involved. It's just a simple change that allows the integration. So to nominate InfoTrack as your sponsor, go to support@pexa.com.au. Third thing, if you're registered and we are your sponsor and you want to have that integration turned on, email InfoTrack Help Desk and request PEXA integration. The email is helpdesk@infotrack.com.au, and one of our lovely client relationship managers, it might even be myself, will be in contact about getting that set up and trialling your first PEXA workspace. Okay, fantastic. So I hope you've all been busy writing us questions as we've been going through. So we're just going to go through a few of those now that have come through. And if you haven't asked and you've got any burning questions, please look at the question bar on the right-hand side and pull in any questions now. Okay. So let's just have a look at some of the questions that we've got here. One of them is from Sally. Can practitioners and conveyancers now sign transfer documents, i.e. on paper? Yes, Sally, as of the 26th of May, that has been introduced. You do need to have your client authorisation form completed, and you are now able to execute that transfer on behalf of your client. Are these slides available online? We can send them afterwards if anyone would like them.
Yeah, we can, and also we will be making a recording of this available through the LEAP community. But yeah, we can definitely get these slides online, especially those dates. I think those dates were really important, that timeline.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely. Okay, great. I'm just having a look through some questions now. Great. Yep, okay, so we've got a question about the special conditions. Thank you, Tan. So if we want to add in customised special conditions, how do we do that? Yep, okay, great. So good question. I'll very quickly, just jump into where you can add your special conditions for within InfoTrack. So when you're logged into InfoTrack, your username's at the top of the screen here. And you go into Edit Details. You'll notice you've got a few tabs here. This is where you can pre-select your certificates, as you would have seen me do before, so you can have quick access to selecting the certificates you need. The template here allows you to upload from Word your special conditions. So that means that when you're adding your special conditions from the contract, your pre-added special conditions will be available for you to select which ones you want to include. So you can upload them from Word, create a new template from scratch, or edit an existing template. Okay, thank you. Hopefully that was useful. Thanks for all the questions. I'm just reading through. If you want to make amendments to the contract, you can add a plus GST. Yes, those options are available when you're in edit mode of the contract. Absolutely. It's just hitting edit when you're in the contract and then making the changes from there as you scroll through. The date of signing is automatically generated. Can we amend it? Absolutely not.
No.
Yeah, no. With electronic signing, as we've said, it is very secure, and the date that is being signed is locked down. So, yep, that cannot be edited, and that's a DocuSign feature. Is there a fee for using Identify, as in for DocuSign? Yep, there is a fee. So Identify per verification of identity is $9.90, and that disbursement is automatically loaded back into your Leap matter. We do have a remote verification of identity as well, which some of our clients are using for overseas clients. I'm happy to answer any questions about that and get in contact after the webinar. That's $10.90 if it is a remote verification, which means that ultimately there is a video call through Identify that you can do, plus a few other things. So $9.90 or $10.90. And thanks for the question. Okay, very common question that we get from, thank you, Alison. So the question is, which I'm sure a lot of you might be thinking, is when signing online, signatures often look very different to signing on paper. How do we overcome this, given that signatures need to match? So yeah, look, I think it's a great question, and I would suggest that it's in line with, I guess, how you would operate today. If you're dealing with a client now and they're signing documents and you're asking them to ensure that their signature looks like all other signatures, then this is no different. Make sure that their signature looks the same. Through DocuSign, when signing on the screen, you're able to clear and sign again if you're not happy with that first attempt. So just a matter of advising the client, if it doesn't look how you want it to at the start, you can clear and re-sign. The need for these signatures to match is obviously phasing out quite quickly. As of the 1st of July, no documents will need to be taken in by the State Revenue Office. Okay, so that will eliminate the need for the stat decs and contract for sale signatures to need to align with anything. As of the 26th of May through till the end of the year, transfers can be executed and mandating as of next year by the legal practitioners, again taking away the need for those signatures to need to be compared against other documents. And finally, when everything's going through PEXA, then yeah, there absolutely will not be any comparison of signatures. But what I would suggest with electronic signing, what most clients are using this for to start is Section 32s. Section 32s with the clients that I deal with, they need to be signed quickly. Real estate agents want to get their hands on them. Your client wants to get the house on the market. So with a Section 32, that's a signature that is not being compared against other documents. So I suggest starting with that Section 32. Hopefully that's answered your question, Alison, but it is a common question and it's an educational thing to start and obviously being phased out in summary.
We've had a lot of questions coming.
Yeah, some of them are long, it's great, so I'm just reading through.
If we don't get the time to answer them, we will definitely come back to anyone with answers to these questions.
Yeah.
It's great to have the participation.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot about special conditions.
Yeah, so there's been a bit about middle names as well, if that's different to the mortgages. Yeah, so once a document's signed by DocuSign, it's important to note that that document is locked and signed. So if all parties signed off on that information, then that information can't be changed. It can be changed, but the document would then need to be re-signed, which through DocuSign isn't too hard because it's just a sending out of emails for them to be signed off. But in saying that, so with the middle names, you know, it might be updating it electronically and having all parties re-sign that particular document. Alternatively, there is the option to print and hand amend if it is going to be a paper sort of a settlement or transaction, if you're doing it sort of semi-soonish. Okay, so that's the middle name, so that can be amended, but electronically would need to be re-signed. Okay, so when agent gets purchased at a sign, is there another fee? So there is a fee for the Section 32 and a fee for the contract for sale. Something else that I should also note, which is important, is I've shown you today signing the Section 32 and contract through the eConveyancing transaction, but there is also the option to have any document signed electronically. You can import any document straight from Leap and affix yourself where you want that signature to go on that document. So that might be a cost agreement, it might be your own contract because you don't want to use ours, it might be a Section 27. You're able to import any document. So with that, if it's just one party that needs to sign, it's $6.95, and if there's two or more, it's $12.95 per document. Doesn't matter how many times they need to sign. How do you add special conditions to the contract? Yep, so within the contract page there is a special conditions button up the top, and as you saw before, we first need to load our templates into InfoTrack and have them ready to go. Alright, just zipping through these because there's quite a lot. Who pays for the signing? Good question. So all disbursements will come back into the Leap matter. So the fees for electronic signing will sit with the vendor's representative. Can you still use VOI via other methods? Thanks, Wendy. Yep, so the best way to use Idify is from the Leap app and finding your contacts through the Leap app, because from there everything's connected straight to Leap and all the information pre-populates into Idify. There is the alternative way of having Idify just directly as an app on your phone and or tablet and logging into Idify direct. So there is an alternative option. But the best way is through the Leap app. Yep, cool, thanks. David, can you do the PEXA integration as a purchaser? Yes, you can. So that's through the invitations option and accepting invitations from there and using that data to create your own workspace or join an existing workspace. Okay, if you're not with Leap in the cloud, how can you attach extra items to the contract? Yep, good question. So Leap in the cloud obviously has direct access to all the documents on their Leap matter. Alternatively, there's an import button, and that import button will take you to your local drive. So what that would mean is that any documents you've got in Leap, you'd have to save them locally first, whether that's a desktop or another folder, and then from there you'll be able to import them into InfoTrack to compile your Section 32 and contract.
So I can see one about the Leap app. The Leap app is, you can download Apple version from your mobile, your App Store, or Google Play for the Android version.
Okay, so we've just got a question around how to get integration with Idify. So that's quite easy. So all you need to do is download the app, as Holly's just touched on. So download the Leap app, and you'll also find the Idify app, whether that's through Google Play or Apple.
The App Store.
Yep, the App Store. Search Idify, and you'll be able to find the app there to download. So you can just download that, log into your Leap app, and it'll automatically launch you into Idify. If you don't have the Leap app and you need to know your Idify login credentials, you can just contact our help desk, which will have an email at the end of the webinar.
And with the Leap mobile app, you just need your usual credentials, username and password, which will be your email address, to launch into the mobile app.
Great, thank you. Loving all the questions, keep them coming. So there's a question from Jade around if the agent wants to add the special conditions, such as a building or pest. but they have to come back to you. No, they don't. So when you add special condition from the contract and the agent sets up the contract, there is then the ability for them to add a special condition. Now that's up to you, because I know some firms do want to allow that access and others don't. So that's up to you whether you want to give that access to the real estate agent or not. But yes, they can add the special condition themselves, and it'll add on to the existing special conditions. There's a question here about branding and logos. So there is the ability to upload your own logo as well through InfoTrack if you want to have that on your emails that are being generated for electronic signing. Okay, so just continuing through.
No, unfortunately, the Leap mobile app is only available to clients that are on the using Leap Cloud. Version 10 doesn't have access to the Leap mobile app, so I'm sorry about that.
Okay, cool. What are the alternatives if client's computer does not allow signing? Yep, so signing is allowed on any device, as long as there's an internet connection and an email address. If they have a computer, obviously you can sign with a mouse. It's not recommended. It kind of goes back to our question before about a signature wanting it to align. So that client might want to forward the email request to someone else that's got a smartphone. So they might have a daughter, son, a wife, or someone that's got a phone themselves that they can forward the email onto. That whole tracking of the forwarding of the email is captured and provided to you at the end. So there's always an alternative option for that client to sign. Okay, cool. Just scrolling through. There's quite a few. Okay. Yep, so the client authorization form is within...
It's within the verification of identity folder within Leap. I'll put the ID, the code for that precedent, but yeah, if you look in the verification of identity folder within Leap, you should find that form.
Thanks, Holly. Good question. Does everyone have to be an InfoTrack client to use electronic signing? Yeah, absolutely not, because it's just through an email. So as long as someone's got an email address, there's no account required for InfoTrack. The only party that needs the InfoTrack account is you, the vendor's representative, setting up that Section 32 and contract from Leap to InfoTrack. Good question here. If multiple signatures were required on a document and one person responded saying they can't sign electronically, could you print the document signed by others and get the paper version to them manually? Absolutely. So when the email comes through to sign electronically and we're taken into the screen to review and sign, there's actually a print button up the top of that screen. So if the client opens it up and decides they prefer to print, then that option is available to them. Okay? There's a few people asking for some demonstrations on the contract signing for the private sale, so we'll just get in contact with anyone after this. We'll save all of these questions and reach out if you're asking for some more information. Okay, great, and there's quite a few questions about the remote verification, so we'll follow that up as well if you want some more info. All right, fantastic. Wow, quite a lot of questions there. We'll be in contact for any that we weren't able to get through today. But just to roll onto the last slide, so you've got Holly and I's details. There we are. So if you've got any questions, please get in touch with us. Holly can be contacted at clientsuccess@leap.com.au, and any queries from me can come through to helpdesk@infotrack.com.au, and we'll answer them as soon as we can. As Holly mentioned, this will be available through the Leap community. Fantastic. Thank you all so much for tuning in with Holly and I.
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you, Crystal. Obviously very, very knowledgeable in the entire e-conveyancing process, so thank you so much for presenting today.
My pleasure.
Yeah, any questions, please come to myself or Crystal and we'll see what we can do to help you.
Thanks everyone. Have a good afternoon.